4 years, every man I dated was stolen by my sister. I consequently introduced her to a person who ruined her life. My younger sister Claire was born, and I was cursed with an inbuilt boyfriend thief. And I'm not referring to innocent crushes or borrowed clothing. I'm talking about the kind of theft where she would be smitten with a lover within weeks if I brought him home. If I introduced someone at Sunday dinner, she'd already be sliding into his DMs before dessert was served. If I posted a cute couple photo on Instagram, she'd somehow bump into him at his favorite coffee shop the next day. Everyone always said Claire got mom's stunning looks while I inherited dad's sharp wit. The comparison stung, but I learned to live with it until the boyfriend stealing started. It began innocently enough in high school. My boyfriend, Ethan, suddenly wanted to study at our house every afternoon. Claire would float by in her cheer uniform, asking him to help with her calculus homework. I didn't see the manipulation then because I trusted them both completely. But looking back, the signs were flashing neon bright. By the time we hit our 20s, Claire's tactics became surgical in their precision. I dated Nathan for 6 months before bringing him to meet the family. 1 week after that disastrous dinner, Claire had a crisis and needed his broad shoulder to cry on at 2 o'clock in the morning. They slept together that same night. Then came Lucas from my graphic design agency. Same playbook, family dinner, manufactured emergency, midnight comfort session. When I discovered their steamy text messages, she had the audacity to tilt her head and smile sweetly. "I'm just making sure they're worthy of you, Emily," she said, batting her eyelashes. Lucas failed the test miserably. Deep down, I had to admit she had a point. If these men would abandon me for my sister so easily, maybe they weren't my soulmates after all. But that logic did nothing to heal the betrayal burning in my chest. Then came Owen, the one who nearly broke me. We'd been together for 2 years, talking seriously about marriage after I finished my teaching degree. Claire got wasted at his birthday party, the one I'd planned for weeks, and kissed him right in front of everyone at Applebee's. When he chose her over me, she had the nerve to post on Facebook, "Sometimes you can't help who you fall for too hard. Sorry, not sorry. Mommed me at Thanksgiving." Her voice sharp as the carving knife. "You need to stop parading these men in front of Claire," she hissed while stirring the gravy. "She can't control herself when you dangle temptation right under her nose. Why do you keep setting her up to fail?" In my mind, I hadn't been dangling anything. I'd been trying to build meaningful relationships only to watch them crumble under my sister's relentless charm offensive. 3 months later, fate smiled on me at my college roommate's wedding in Seattle. That's where I met Liam. Everything I'd ever dreamed of wrapped in a 6 feet 2 inches package. Kind, successful as a software engineer, and apparently immune to female manipulation. For 8 blissful months, I kept him completely secret from my family. I told no one about him at all. We avoided sharing a few pictures online, and we took dates to nearby towns. I believed that I had finally outwitted Claire's boyfriend's theft scheme. I'd never been in a relationship this healthy and sincere. Liam spoke so confidently about our future that I once again began to believe in happy endings. But then my loose-lipped cousin Sarah accidentally mentioned Liam to Mom during a phone call, who naturally mentioned him to Claire within hours. My sister's detective skills rivaled the FBI. She tracked him down through his company's website within days. The betrayal hit me like a freight train when I used my key to enter Liam's apartment and found them together in our room. The worst part wasn't catching them in the act. It was Claire's reaction. She sat up completely exposed and unapologetic and delivered the killing blow. "Honestly, I did you a huge favor," she said, gathering her clothes with zero remorse. "He barely lasted 10 minutes. You deserve so much better than that, sis." Liam just shrugged, not even bothering to cover himself. "Your sister's way too hot for me not to try. You understand, right?" I stood there trembling with rage and humiliation while Claire kissed him goodbye like I was invisible, like I was nothing more than furniture in the room. That soul-crushing moment crystallized everything for me. Claire didn't steal my boyfriends out of sisterly protection or innocent attraction. She did it because she could, because she enjoyed watching me crumble, because destroying my happiness had become her twisted hobby. Walking to my Toyota Corolla in the parking lot, my hand shaking so badly I could barely grip the keys, I made a decision that would change everything. Claire craved men she couldn't resist. Fine, I'd give her exactly what she wanted. Wrapped in a package that would destroy her from the inside out. Plans started forming in my mind during the 40-minute drive home. Claire always went for the same type. Gorgeous, charming, seemingly successful men who made her feel chosen and special. She never looked deeper than the surface. Never questioned their stories or backgrounds. That blind spot would be her downfall. I spent the next few weeks diving deep into public records, court databases, and background check websites. That's how I discovered Adrian Brooks, a stunningly handsome man who claimed to be a venture capitalist from Phoenix. Recently divorced after his ex-wife documented years of financial and emotional abuse in court filings. 2 separate restraining orders from other ex-girlfriends currently under investigation for securities fraud. Perfect. Adrian's LinkedIn profile painted him as a successful entrepreneur complete with professional headshot that could have landed him modeling contracts. But digging deeper revealed the truth. A sophisticated con artist who specialized in manipulating women into financial ruin. I created a fake LinkedIn profile as a potential investor and reached out to him with a business proposal. We met at Starbucks in downtown Phoenix, where I played the role of vulnerable older sister perfectly. I showed him Claire's Instagram photos, gushing about how she always stole my boyfriends because she was so irresistibly beautiful. I just can't compete with her, I said, letting my voice crack with practiced emotion. Every guy I've ever loved ends up choosing her instead. I feel so worthless. Adrian's eyes lit up like a predator spotting wounded prey. He saw exactly what I wanted him to see. A broken woman he could easily manipulate with a gorgeous sister who represented the ultimate trophy. "You seem like an incredible person, Emily," he said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. "Any man who would leave you for someone else is an idiot." Hook, line, and sinker. We started dating immediately, with me playing the part of the smitten girlfriend while he laid the groundwork for his usual con. He love-bombed me with expensive dinners at the Capitol Grill, weekend trips to Tucson, and promises of a future together. But I could see through his performance. Every compliment was calculated, every gesture designed to make me emotionally dependent. Through 3 weeks of this deception, I informed him that because Claire had a history of taking my lovers, I wanted to keep our relationship a secret from her. I knew exactly what a domino effect I was starting when I asked him to join me for supper at Olive Garden for my mother's birthday. Adrian believed that by adding Claire as a bonus conquest, he was putting himself in a position to take me as his next victim. He had no idea he was walking into a trap I'd spent weeks perfecting. At Mom's birthday dinner, Adrian performed his role flawlessly. He treated Claire like she was invisible while showering me with attention that felt genuine enough to fool everyone at the table. He complimented my lasagna choice, laughed at Dad's terrible jokes, and even brought Mom flowers. But Claire couldn't stand being ignored, especially by a man this attractive. She escalated exactly as I predicted, touching Adrian's arm when she talked, leaning too close when she laughed, whispering inside jokes only he could hear. Her flirtation became so obvious that even our oblivious parents started noticing. I excused myself to the bathroom and watched through the slightly cracked door as Claire moved in for the kill. "My sister's sweet, but she's pretty vanilla in every way," she whispered, running her finger along Adrian's forearm. "I could show you things she wouldn't even dream of trying." When I returned to the table and caught them exchanging phone numbers, I threw my glass of Merlot directly in Adrian's face and stormed out sobbing. Performance of a lifetime, complete with mascara running down my cheeks. Claire called that night, her voice dripping with fake concern that didn't fool me for a second. "Adrian totally came on to me at dinner," she said. But honestly, you're better off without him. Something about him seems really sketchy. Within 2 days, she was posting Instagram stories from his luxury condo in Scottsdale. Within a week, she'd fallen head over heels in love with his lies. Within a month, she'd moved in completely and given him access to her bank accounts for our shared expenses. I watched it all unfold from the sidelines, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and growing uneasiness. Claire was walking blindly into quicksand, and I was the one who'd pointed her in that direction. But after years of having my heart shattered by her selfishness, I couldn't bring myself to warn her about the danger she was in. The first crack in Claire's perfect new life appeared 6 weeks later when a lawyer representing Adrian's ex-wife contacted her directly. Adrian had hidden assets during his divorce proceedings, and now Claire could be held liable as an accomplice to fraud. They're saying I might get sued too. Claire called me, panic creeping into her voice. But Adrian explained everything. His ex-wife is just bitter and trying to cause trouble. I made sympathetic noises while secretly knowing this was only the beginning. Next came the revelation that Adrian's investment firm was actually an elaborate Ponzi scheme. Claire had already invested her entire $30,000 savings. Convinced she was getting in on the ground floor of the next big tech startup when the SEC shut down the operation, her money vanished overnight. "It has to be a mistake," she sobbed during another late-night call. "Adrian's lawyers are fighting it. He says we'll get everything back plus interest." But when Claire tried to leave his condo after discovering more lies, Adrian showed his true colors. He grabbed her wrist so hard it snapped, then locked her in the bedroom while he raged about ungrateful women who didn't appreciate everything he'd done for them. When she finally escaped and tried to access her accounts, she discovered he'd emptied everything, checking, savings, even her 401k. Worse, he'd used her personal information to apply for credit cards and loans in her name, burying her under $80,000 in debt she never knew existed. The final blow came at dawn on a Tuesday morning when FBI agents broke down the door of Adrian's condo. They found Claire's signature on dozens of fraudulent documents Adrian had tricked her into signing, making her an unwitting accomplice to securities fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. My phone rang at 6:47 a.m. Claire's name flashed on the screen, but I let it go to voicemail. Claire's voicemail was barely coherent through her sobs. "Emily, please. I'm in county jail and they're saying I might go to prison. Adrian used me for everything and now the FBI thinks I was helping him. I know I hurt you, but please, I'm begging you. I need help." I listened to it 3 times before deleting it. The local news picked up the story within days. Local woman arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Claire's mugshot flashed across Channel 7's evening broadcast. Her mascara streaked and her eyes hollow with devastation. Mom called immediately, hysterical. "You have to help your sister. She made mistakes, but she doesn't deserve this." "She made her own choices," I replied calmly. "Just like she did with Ethan, Nathan, Owen, and Liam." The silence stretched between us before Mom whispered, "You knew, didn't you? You knew what he was." I didn't answer because the truth was too complicated for a simple yes or no. Had I known Adrian would destroy Claire this completely? Not exactly. Had I researched him thoroughly enough to understand he was dangerous? Absolutely. Claire ended up pleading guilty to lesser charges in exchange for testifying against Adrian. She served 8 months in minimum security prison and emerged with a felony record, destroyed credit, and a restraining order that prevented Adrian from contacting her ever again. The family dinners stopped. Mom couldn't look at me the same way, torn between horror at what I'd done and grudging admiration for my methodical revenge. Dad just shook his head whenever Claire's name came up, muttering about natural consequences and chickens coming home to roost. Claire moved across the country to Portland after her release, working as a barista and slowly rebuilding her life. We haven't spoken in 2 years, but I occasionally check her Instagram. She looks older now, more cautious. confident, predatory gleam in her eyes has been replaced by something quieter and more uncertain. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far, if destroying my sister's life was worth the satisfaction of finally winning our twisted game. But then I remember Liam's shrug, Claire's naked smugness, and years of watching my happiness crumble for her entertainment. She got exactly what she'd been asking for her entire life, a man she couldn't resist. She just didn't expect him to resist destroying everything she held dear. I've been in therapy for a year now, working through the complex emotions of orchestrating someone's downfall, even someone who'd hurt me repeatedly. My therapist says revenge rarely brings the peace we expect it to. And she's right. I don't feel vindicated or victorious. For the most part, I feel hollow where all of that rage formerly resided. However, knowing that Claire would never again take a woman's partner helps me sleep better. Complete destruction is sometimes the only way to learn a lesson. Finally, my sister discovered hers the hard way.